So, as you all may know by now, TDS recently leaked their new and awesome towers 3 weeks ago. The max guard piercing through hordes of foes with its piercing laser, and the long-awaited War Machine tower, now freshly remodeled with a crazy Space Marine exosuit and rocket pods, looking more goated than ever. But turns out both of these towers are contributor exclusive towers, locked behind 5 and 15 contributions. I think it's cool what TDS is doing, and I do agree with below that contributors who make the skins for the game should get something, as they really help out the game. But locking new fresh content behind such a crazy requirement just leaves a sour taste in the community, you know? And especially after breaking the promise of War Machine, I don't blame them. Like, I'm not even sure if 5 Souls has met the requirement, and he's been making skins for what, like the past year and a half, I think? So he definitely should have gotten this tower a long time ago. Anyhow, that's where I wanted to propose my solution, and if you own a golden skin, then you will already be pretty familiar with what my solution is. But basically, why don't we just add the contributor perks to the War Machine and Max Guard, and just like any other golden perk, contributors will get an exclusive skin and the really OP stats that come with the tower, of course. They can, of course, get the exclusive particle effects, you know, when you place it on the tower, and the cool, like, aura visual effects it gets just, like, emanating around it. And yeah, I can already see some people saying, well, wouldn't we be gatekeeping the quote-unquote, like, golden version of War Machine and Max Guard? But how I see it, I think it'd be a nice that we even get the tower at all, you know? And I imagine you probably won't see the contributor perk option as a normal player anyways, which essentially treats it as non-canon to the main game's progression. This way, contributors can still get an awesome exclusive skin and a really overpowered tower they can use in the game to help them, while we normal players can still enjoy the base tower, you know? And I also get the feeling some people may say these towers are boring and wouldn't add much to the game anyways from a balancing point of view, as they seem pretty simple functionality wise. But here's the thing, is that there's more to towers than just functionality. The visual of these towers are what really sells it too. Like, you know, just the idea of like these cool witches, or, you know, this like Space Marine guy like Commando just shooting these cool rockets. Or maybe you have, you know, like Accelerator, like this really cool guy who shoots like a gigantic laser from a canister on its back. It's really like the visuals are what really sells these towers, and they can have all the functionality in the world with really cool mechanics, but if they don't have really cool looks, then no one would use them, right? Just kind of like an issue some people have with some tower defense games are always the graphics. That's another discussion for another day. But anyhow, you'd be missing out on the fantasy of like a cool exosuit soldier or stormtrooper-esque foot soldier. Designing tower mechanics is hard, like, no doubt, but it just takes some creativity and time, and it's always possible for every new tower to have a good niche in design. For example, the War Machine is basically just old Commando with a damage buff, and that much is true. And the damage buff is so iconic to the tower, but does it really have to like work that way? Maybe it has like a small radius where it can give a damage buff through an ability you have to press, like TDX's John, or, you know, TDS's old John. And, or, you know, maybe it has a War Fury bar it needs to fill before it grants a 20-second damage buff to nearby towers, meaning fire rate support towers like Commander or Medic are really important to help this damage buff have more uptime. And see how quickly I came up with those? Those only took me like 3 minutes at the most to create. And these don't even require much mechanics to code, right? It's just no animations whatsoever. I mean, just look at the old concepts by the balancers. These were really cool, and it just showcased how creative and amazing the balancers were. Not to mention that Max Guard, by the way, if added as an evergreen tower, would be the first non-event tower with Pierce that is obtainable to the main player base. And, you know, they're still missing that. It's pretty undeniable too that War Machine was promised to the community many years ago, not just by Razuatix and below, but in update logs, many channels, and unofficially in the gameplay feedback channel. Whether or not it was intentional is something to keep in mind for sure. And I understand below wants to give the contributor something, and I do too. But mismanagement of expectations is something TDS has always struggled with, and the responsibility of this issue still lies with Paradoxum as a whole, and especially on the lead developers who oversee the whole development process, not on one individual, right? So if Razuatix made a statement back then about War Machine, why not rescind the statement right after that? Or even include it in the update logs. Like, why did they do that? It's crazy. I still feel like the transparency in the communication is not there, and the response from the Twitter came off to me at least as very dismissive and too personal. Instead of directing the situation directly, I felt the blame was put on Razuatix, a former employee, mind you, and I honestly felt like this conduct was unprofessional for a team of their size. A lot of the feedback given by the community too was not taken into consideration, and it honestly made it way harder for me to understand their vision and what they were going for. Now, if you're curious about what I think of these towers, well, I don't really mind these since I got my Goat Engineer and I'm pretty happy with that, you know? But yeah, I'm actually really happy the contributors are getting something to look forward to, because I feel like most games don't treat them too well, and I'm really excited to see their reaction once these towers drop. So, you know, I think it helps to be positive and just to keep moving forward. But at the end of the day, I think what people were really upset about was a broken promise. And had they replaced the War Machine with another tower, I don't think there'd be a big controversy about this. And these towers would have been a great addition to the game too for the upcoming hardcore rework. I feel like the color palette and the design of the War Machine especially just sells that fantasy so well. Especially from, you know, all the upgrade descriptions or the UI. It really felt like it was designed for hardcore in the first place. So yeah, honestly, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully Paradoxum can learn from this situation for the future as well. I've played every event since Sword Fight on the Heights, the Gladiator event. So not being able to have all the towers in the game will be a strange first for me. And of course I never had like mecha base or war machines, but those are basically impossible to get until now since they were admin towers. Anyhow, I look forward to whatever TDS has to offer next and how these towers turn out, regardless of who gets it, you know? Let me know what you guys think about this situation in the comments below, and if you enjoyed it, drop a sub and a like, and yeah, I really appreciate it. As always, savor the cheese, consume the bread, and be one with the bamboo. See you later, bye bye!
Mugetsu.